All right. Again, thank you, Reed. That was a very inspiring reading. I appreciate it. Most of the keynote speakers I've introduced in the past have given me bios, about twice as long as their speeches. So I hope that's not the case this year, because when pressed for a biography, our keynote speaker this year sent me this. My friend Roxane has lived in Walnut Creek for the past 35 years with her husband Drew, who passed away in 2014. And there are two sons, Sean and Scott. Both boys are Eagle Scouts with Troop 444, who's here today, Troop 444. Unfortunately, Sean was killed in action in 2007 while serving with a company of paratroops in Afghanistan. And that company is the subject of this book, The Chosen Few. I highly recommend it, but I recommend you be in the right mood to read it. Roxane's personal commitment to honoring our fallen service members and continuing Sean's legacy fills many hours. Along with working full-time in benefits counseling, she volunteers at the Palo Alto VA Foundation for Recovery, is an active member of the American Gold Star Mothers, and a committee member with the California Run for the Fallen. This is all on top of being a supportive mother-in-law to Sean's widow, Jessica, and a loving grandmother to Sean's daughter, Zoe. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a distinct pleasure to introduce Roxane Langevin.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here. I'd like to thank VFW Post 1525 and the City of Clayton and Concord for allowing me an opportunity within our community to honor and remember our servicemen and women, especially my son Sean, on this glorious Memorial Day. It is truly an honor and privilege for me to be here. When my boys were growing up, I was referred to as Sean and or Scott's mom, and I'm sure you moms out there know what that's like and can relate. Some things haven't changed, well, maybe just a little bit. Although I'm still referred to as Scott's mom, I'm also now referred to as proud Gold Star mother of Army Corporal Sean Kenai Aldrich Langevin. Sean was born in Walnut Creek on August 17, 1984. He was my birthday present, born the day before my birthday. Sean joined the Army in February 2006. After boot camp, he left for Vicenza, Italy, and joined the 173rd Airborne Brigade Combat Team, Chosen Company. He deployed to Afghanistan in May 2007. Sean was killed in an ambush attack in Aranis, Afghanistan, at the age of 23 on November 9, 2007, along with 4 other paratroopers, Chosen Few: Captain Matthew Ferrara, Sergeant Jeffrey Mersman, Corporal Lester Roque, Specialist Joseph Landcourt, and Marine Sergeant Philip Box. As with every Gold Star family, it begins with that dreadful knock on the door, the knock that changed all of our lives. For Drew and me, we were spared the knock because we were in Portland for our youngest son Scott's last college football game of the season. Unfortunately, Jessica, Sean's wife, was not, and she had to make one of the toughest decisions of her life, either to wait until we returned or to communicate the news of Sean's death to us over the phone to soften the blow. She chose the latter, but whether it was a knock on the door or a phone call, it really didn't matter. As I reflect back on this moment, I remember my heart stopping in disbelief, screaming. I believe I pushed the phone away, thinking it was something evil, and then my legs giving out from under me and dropping to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. And it killed me inside to have to tell Scott that his brother was killed. But fortunately, we were there for him and didn't have to tell him over the phone. Although we are coming up on 10 years since we received the tragic news, it does seem like yesterday. For all of us, me, Drew, Scott, and Jessica, a part of us was also taken. Our son, not only brother to Scott, but Scott's best friend, and Jessica's husband, and Zoe, Sean's daughter, born 3 months after his death. She will never have that firsthand experience of her daddy's love for family, life, friends, his country, and God. She won't have her daddy for the father-daughter dances at school or to walk her down the aisle when she gets married. Every day I ask why. As a parent, it just isn't right or fair for your child's life to be taken before yours. A Gold Star mom, dad, wife, husband, sibling, grandparent, uncle, aunt, nephew, niece, or cousin are family members who have lost a loved one in war or died by other means while serving our country in time of war. On that very tragic day for all Gold Star families that we so vividly remember, we became a member of a club that we know no one wants to belong to. But we found that we all share a common thread, bond, and support of each other. The enormity of the grief that our Gold Star families carry, most will never fully know. As I thought about today and the message I wanted to communicate to all of you, I realized that you all know what Memorial Day is and why and what it means to honor our fallen servicemen and women who gave up so many sacrifices, being away from family and the ultimate sacrifice. So I don't need to tell all of you what it means because you're here, you know. I found these words attributed to the famous philosophical essayist Ralph Waldo Emerson, and there are other variations on this, but I like this best. But these words capture these brave and courageous men and women. The purpose of life is not to be happy. It is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well. So today, I thought it would be more meaningful to focus on the purpose of life. After all, we are here to celebrate and honor the lives of these heroes and how their lives have had either a direct or indirect impact on our own purpose of life. As I reflect back on the memories I have of Sean, I want to share with you the person he was, his purpose of life, and bring him to life for all of you, and share how Sean impacted the lives of others and changed their purpose of life. I want you all to know how important it is that our heroes are never forgotten. It is their impact to others and our country that provides us with the strength and courage to continue to live by our democratic standards and respect and honor to be part of this grateful nation. So now I hear Sean telling me, Mama, it's time, tell my story. Drew and I bestowed upon Sean the foundation of love for family, friends, and God. Sean loved to have fun, loved life, and loved an adventure. He was an Eagle Scout with Troop 444, which had proven to provide him with the skills necessary to be a good, honorable soldier, earning 2 Purple Hearts, 2 Bronze Stars, 1 with Valor, the Army Commendation Medal, and other service medals such as the Global War on Terrorism, Afghanistan Campaign, and Army Good Conduct. When Sean joined the Army, he had decided on his purpose of life. It was not only duty to country, but he wanted to be a good husband, eventually good father, develop enough experience in the Army and the characteristics to become involved in law enforcement and be able to be a good provider and provide the love and support to his wife and daughter. Over the last 9.5 years, I've had many opportunities to meet quite a bit of Sean's brothers from Chosen Company, and I truly feel that we have a special bond, and I have a new family. I am always honored to be in the presence of such greatness and heroes, all of them. Most recently, as Scott has said, released in February of this year, a book was written about chosen company. Sean fought in 2 of the 3 courageous battles written about the chosen few. Although it was a difficult read, meaning quite emotional for me to get through, and there were details I had not before heard, these men courageously shared their stories about the details of each of the battles, the respect they had and continue to have for each other, and for those lives who were taken at such young ages. Because Sean never had the opportunity to share with us what happened and what he did, it truly was an honor to read about my hero and others and to hear from these guys how much they love and respected Sean for who he was and his commitment to his brothers. I never felt comfortable in asking these guys the details of what happened. They needed to be ready to share. So this was a way for me to know without even asking. After meeting many of them, and now that they have shared their stories, and knowing that I was speaking here today, I asked some of Sean's brothers if they would share some of their reflections about Sean. After reading what they shared, I am so very proud of Sean. It was greater than I expected. He was truly a very special young man. So I'm going to bring Sean back to life for you, not from his mother's perspective, but from the men he fought side by side with. Here's what they said. Kane Schilling fought and injured in the same battle that Sean was killed in, and his life was saved by Medal of Honor recipient Kyle White. I can't say enough about Sean. When I think of him, I think of how he could always make you laugh or smile, no matter how you were feeling. While in Afghanistan, when I was tired, or we all were, he would tuck me into bed in front of 20 other men. All you could do was laugh and let it be. And then, when we were at Camp Blessing, I had just showered and started to walk back to the barracks, when all of a sudden, Sean jumps out of a ditch to scare me. He had to have been hiding there for at least 20 minutes for him to jump out like that. Mind you, we are in the middle of a war zone. Sean was someone I looked up to and still do to this day. He was a good person and had strong faith. Chosen few. We are a close family. So in September of 2015, I had the honor to officiate Kane and Molly's wedding in Iowa. Also present were Jessica and Zoe. It was a very special day for Kane to have a part of Sean there in spirit. Chuck Bell, he was one of the older ones, as Sean would say. I think he was 31. He fought in the first attack as Sean. I always admired how grounded and down to earth Sean was, even at his age. He would stick up for the little guy or those who couldn't stand up for themselves very well. Not only the little guy, but maybe even the big tough guy that everyone seemed to not get along with. To Sean, neither mattered if you were big or small, outgoing or on the quiet side, standoffish or shy. He figured you were just misunderstood. And no matter what your background was, he could always find what made you tick. And when he did, he could really talk to you on your level. It seemed he understood when others didn't. And when you conversed with him, you felt like you were talking to an old friend back home. If he wanted to, he could get on every last nerve you got or work one nerve at a time methodically. And then there was the playful side. Chuck reminded me of the dare posed to Sean that caused Sean and his fellow soldiers one night to run through the streets of Vicenza, Italy, buck naked, with his wife Jessica holding their clothes and running after all of them. These guys made the best of the worst. John Albert, he was in the same ambush attack that killed Sean. A little over a year ago, John reached out to me asking if I had a St. Christopher medal from Sean. At the time, I didn't know this, but John said that before they went out on the mission that killed Sean,